Hey there, I'm Gavin Stewart, and you're watching Bits and Bobs, a series of quick, random, interesting facts to keep your mind sharp and your senses invigorated. Let's dig in. Number 10. Tea. As the most popular beverage in the world, apart from water, chances are if you're drinking tea, you're drinking the infused essence of the plant Camellia sinensis, an evergreen shrub native to East Asia. The first credible evidence of tea drinking comes from China in the 3rd century AD. Portuguese priests and merchants brought tea drinking to Europe in the 16th century, and tea drinking became fashionable in Britain in the 17th century. Number 9. Xbox. And for our gamer fans out there, we come to the Xbox. The Xbox was first unveiled in 2001, and it was actually the first console to be offered by an American company since the Atari Jaguar came off the shelves in 1996. The name Xbox comes from the term DirectXbox, which refers to Microsoft's graphics API, DirectX. While the featured online gaming platform Xbox Live required a paid subscription and a then high-tech broadband connection, it benefited from virtues such as Halo 2, the console's top-selling game, buddy lists, and better servers. Number 8. The International Monetary Fund. Unless you're an economist, you may not have heard about the International Monetary Fund. It's an international organization formed in 1944 which consists of 189 countries. Its purpose is to help with things like international monetary cooperation, international trade, sustainable economic growth, and to help with resources with struggling member states. Research performed by the Overseas Development Institute in the 1980s contains criticism of the IMF that supports the theory that the IMF is a pillar of what activist Titus Alexander calls global apartheid. Number 7. Communism. If you're a hardcore capitalist, you may not like this next one. Communism is a school of ideology whose ultimate goal is to form a new society, one that is devoid of social class, money, and the state. If you're familiar with this, you may think it all began with the Communist Manifesto written by Karl Marx. What's more interesting is that communism actually traces back to ancient Greece. The Persian Mazdak movement of the 5th century AD has been said to be akin to communism for its criticisms of the rich and powerful, the idea of private property, and for the aim to create an equal society. Number 6. Arial. Those of you who like to keep things plain and neat may recognize the name Arial. It's a popular font that got its start in the 1980s. It was designed by the company Monotype to be a cheaper stand-in for the more expensive font, Helvetica. The weight and proportions of Arial match Helvetica so closely, you can swap one font for the other without reflowing any text. When Arial was included with Windows version 3.1, it quickly rose to prominence with office workers the world over. Number 5. Hexadecimal Time. Now it's time to talk about hexadecimal time. This format of measuring time was proposed by Swedish-American engineer John W. Nystrom in 1863. Each day is divided into 16 hours, each hour into 256 minutes, and each minute into 16 seconds. This method of timekeeping was part of a larger system called the tonal system, which included a new calendar with 16 months, a new coinage system, and a new clock. As you can probably guess, the tonal system never really took off. Number 4. Food allergy. 90% of all food allergies involve a few common allergens. In adults, the list includes peanuts, tree nuts, eggs, fish, and shellfish, while in children, the list includes peanuts, tree nuts, milk, and eggs. Roughly 50% of children with allergies to peanuts, tree nuts, milk, soy, and eggs will outgrow their allergy by age 6. If they haven't outgrown it by age 12, they have a less than 8% chance of outgrowing the allergy. Number 3. High fructose corn syrup. And in keeping with the topic of food, we come to that of high fructose corn syrup. It's gotten a lot of flack in recent years from being associated with terrible afflictions such as metabolic syndrome and obesity. What you may not have heard, however, is that high fructose corn syrup is actually made from cornstarch that has been broken down into glucose by enzymes, then further processing that with glucose isomerase to convert the glucose into fructose. Sweet. Number 2. Playing cards. Feeling lucky? It may be time for a game of poker. The playing cards used for the game can be traced, like tea, back to ancient China, where the first possible reference of a card game was contained in a text from the 9th century AD entitled Collection of Miscellanea at Duyang. It describes a princess, the daughter of an emperor, playing a leaf game in 868 AD with her husband. Number 1. The Interrobang. For our final factoid, we come back to typography with the Interrobang. You may be asking, what on earth is that? Well, it's a special punctuation mark that combines a question mark with an exclamation point. The mark was first conceptualized in 1962 by advertising executive Martin K. Spector, who wanted a better way to convey surprise rhetorical questions using a single mark. Pretty interesting, right? Right? And that does it for this episode of B&B. If you liked it, be sure to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.